Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on my channel, and today we are going to be building a neighborhood bar. Now this video is a little bit shorter than my other videos, mainly because I don't do a lot of furnishings. I had this idea that I wanted to build a bar sort of in a basement of like the sort of apartment buildings like the ones you see around in San Myshuno, which is where I have built this. I built this in the Spice District of San Myshuno, and I've sort of copied the townhousey kind of apartments like around, because where the original bar, like the karaoke bar, was, it, in my opinion, it didn't really fit in, but I guess like it's not really meant to fit in. But I don't like the look of that bar, so I changed it to be a more kind of classic, kind of underground bar. I was sort of inspired a little bit by that show, How I Met Your Mother, and how their bar is kind of underground. And I built this whole sort of lot using platforms, which platforms are the bane of my existence in this game, but I did test it out because I wanted to see how it looked using a basement with a platform, and it turned out looking very nice. Like, there was no issue with the terrain being raised up, and the only issue being was I had to kind of tediously like work around and cut the platforms in so it could sort of make the bay windows. So yeah, I've left the apartment, sort of the main townhouses, empty. I've mainly just set a floor plan, but I haven't decorated them or anything. So if you do decide to download this lot on the gallery, you can just decorate it however you like. And this lot is set to be a bar, but if you don't want a bar and you want like more residential areas, you can go ahead and do that as well. Like, I'm not going to say you must keep this place as a bar. This is just kind of the idea that I have in mind. Yeah, and it took me forever. Okay, I've only recently discovered that you can remove the ceiling for basements. Like, don't judge me. I've been playing this game for years and I've only just recently figured out how to do it. But yeah, I think this lot looks very, very nice. It took me quite a while because I had to fiddle around with the platforms, and I've cut a lot of me fiddling with platforms out, so you don't have to see me do all of that. Yep, just sort of working out the entry area to the bar. I used the stone steps from Jungle Adventure, and yeah, because I didn't really know what steps to use at first, but the Jungle Adventure steps looked really nice, so I went with them instead. I went with them instead. And I'm just setting out the kind of roof detail where I just use a half wall to just sort of figure out a shape of a roof. I set the walls to medium, well, it was set on tall height actually. And I'm just looking for the perfect door, and I decide on the door from Discover University. I wanted at first to use the ones from Strangerville because they look really nice, but I couldn't find a swatch that I enjoyed, so I used the doors from Discover University, and it looks very nice. And I'm just setting out the outside, sort of just kind of match the downstairs, the basement level walls sort of with the rest of the build. So this bar is quite big. Like, it's got 2 bathrooms. It's just a typical bar you'd see. 2 bathrooms, like 2 unisex bathrooms. I put a quote manager's office, but with bars in The Sims 4 you can't really manage them. But in my head I just thought I'll put a little fake manager's office. And just there's a lot of entertainment space really. Here I'm sort of figuring out the windows. I wanted to use those ones from They Were City Living, but as you can see, I was trying to figure out how to sort of they didn't look right on the top. Like, there's no natural light coming through them. So I switched them out for base game ones, and they look very nice. I put a lot of them everywhere. And I also cut out a lot of me just fiddling with windows, because I did fiddle with windows for about a good 5 minutes. And I didn't really want to put that in the video, so I just cut that out. But mainly it was just me making sure they're all kind of on a perfect level, putting more windows in. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you're all having a very good week so far. My week's going alright. You know, I've been playing a lot of Stardew Valley recently, as I've mentioned before, which brings me up into the topic of streaming. Now, if you watched my last video, I mentioned that I kind of wanted to begin streaming, like maybe streaming on Twitch or something, and I've given it some thought, and I've decided to go ahead with it. I'm going to start my very first stream on Saturday at 8 PM GMT. And I'm a little bit nervous because I've never streamed before ever. And a lot of the streamers that I do watch, they've got like PC setups and stuff. Whereas I'm playing on console, so it's probably going to look vastly different. So, but I still hope it's very enjoyable if you do decide to come along and have a watch. I've decided I'm going to be streaming Stardew Valley for my first stream. I've been working a little bit on my farm, so I thought maybe I'll give a little bit of a farm tour. Maybe see a couple days or so in my little farmer life. So yeah, I'm going to be streaming from 8 PM GMT to probably about 10. I've put my Twitch link in my about section if you want to like, go ahead and follow me on there or whatever. You know, it's free, it's totally up to you. If you don't, I don't really mind. Just setting out the bathroom now, furnishing the bar. I used the sinks from Parenthood because they just look really nice. I kind of wanted kind of cheap furniture. I did originally have in mind this idea that maybe this kind of bar is a little bit more run down. But then I just completely decided not to go with that, and I just put random furniture in there. Yeah, I've never really built a bar before. Like, I mean, I think I have a couple of times, but never for YouTube. This is my first for YouTube bar build. And I think it turned out really nice. I think what made it turn out nice was the fact that I decided to use platforms instead of foundation, which, whilst like I hate using platforms and stuff, it turned out like really good in that it didn't raise any of the terrain up and look really weird, because I think the last time I tried to build with like using the foundations of basements, it turned out like really horrible, so I just like I didn't like it. So being able to build like a proper kind of exposed basement, if you will, with platforms and having it not ruin the terrain just is something I really enjoy. And I'm messing around with the TV here because I set the requirements for the bar. Like, I've set this place to be a bar, so I had to fill out all the requirements. So I was just kind of messing around with where to put the TV at first. And I put it in that very back area with a couple of other little entertainment stuff. I put like a foosball table. And here is where I originally had the manager's office. I wanted it to be quite big. But then I thought, like, you know, we don't really have the ability to manage bars in The Sims 4. I guess unless you download a mod. But because I'm on console, I don't have access to mods, so there's no way for me to be able to manage a bar. So I thought this room is way too big for the manager for a manager's office, and I kind of wanted to put more entertainment stuff in, so I just made it a lot smaller and opened areas a little bit more up so that there was more space. I put the dartboard in because in like a bar and a pub you probably have a dartboard most likely, and I put that massive game thing in. I really wish we had smaller game systems rather than that big massive one, like a little like pinball machine or something, like, you know, just smaller arcade sets rather than that big massive one. I'm just going around looking for stuff to put on the walls now. I put a little bit of graffiti on the walls. I'm kind of looking for more like younger kind of stuff for to appeal for younger people. I was actually going to set this place as a university hangout, but I'd forgotten all about that. It completely slipped my mind when I was finished. So if you do download this and keep this as a bar, you can set it as a university hangout. Put a little pin up in the manager's office, because I imagine the manager will be that kind of person, definitely have a pin up somewhere. A little bit sleazy. And then I'm setting out the outside because it's primarily looking like a set of apartments. So I was like, okay, I'll give it like a little basic bit of terrain to sort of look like a block. So, and I use those stone steps again from Jungle Adventure, sort of setting them out so you can actually get into the unfurnished bit. So if you do decide to furnish it up and make some apartments up, you can actually get into them now. And I put some platform foundation or some platform trim on. I always, whenever I go to put platform trim on, I always go into foundations just for a split second because I think it's in there, but it's not. And then I put a roof, the half wall trim around just to make it look a little bit better. And I just go into roof details and pull out some stuff that you'd probably find on a roof of like an apartment. Put some billboards up and some vents. And I'm never good at designing the ventilation systems, so that probably doesn't look very good, but I tried. And then putting a trim around, so it just gives it a bit more, looks a bit nicer. And then I was originally at first going to put brambles or some kind of greenery on the front of these windows to sort of show that nobody's really been in them for a while, maybe. But then I just completely decided to go against that, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to leave it blank. Leave it up to whoever downloads it. They can do what they want with it. And then I'm just putting some landscaping in. So this is a very short video, as I said, because I don't decorate it very much. This is more of a build that's kind of left up to whoever goes with it. So I do hope that you enjoyed this build, even though it's a lot smaller than my other ones. And yeah, if you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe and all that stuff. Hit the bell, because I upload 3 times a week: Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Remember, I'll be streaming on Saturday if you want to come along. And yeah, we're pretty much coming to the screenshots now, so I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.